Okay, good evening, CSC. We're back. It's the regular season, and the weekly drop is back as well. I'm joined by Winter, I'm joined by Abson, and I'm joined by GCL. Uh, for those of you who maybe didn't have a chance to read the announcement or whatever, weekly drop is going to shift a little bit. So for those of you who watched it back in season 13, before weekly drop would try to cover every single tier at once. Now we're just going to shift to covering 2 tiers at a time, and that way the discussion can be a little bit more focused, and I don't make Winter, Absent, and GCL talk about Prem, because that doesn't sound like a lot of fun, unless you guys would think it would be fun.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
Wow.
I could play a lottery to guess who could win.
You'd probably be pretty accurate. There's only 8 teams in Prem, so there's only 4 matchups you need to spin a wheel on. But let me let me introduce our guests for tonight. It's Winter from HG, it's Absent from Cow, it's GCL, formerly DRG, now turned to the green pastures of the PFA franchise, the mystical PFA franchise. Winter, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very well. Excited to be here. Forward to a great episode.
Absent, how about you?
I'm doing good.
Good. Are those your cats in the picture, by the way?
Yes.
Very cute. What are their names?
The one on the right is Mew, and the left one is Midnight.
Ah, okay. Very good. Do they ever disrupt you on match day?
Not yet. Usually while I work.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Wow. That's good. GCL, how are you, my friend?
Doing good. Excited to be on the episode.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get right into it. Yeah. We're a couple of technical difficulties started a little bit late, so we've got no time to waste here. Um, let's start today. First 2 match days are more or less in the books for everyone in Chali. There have been a couple of reschedules. Hopefully, everyone was able to stay safe from Hurricane Helene. But if Valve couldn't fuck us on the updates, weather certainly did. But I just want to go around and kind of ask, based off the first 2 match days, and let's just go in a line from Winter going to GCL. So Winter, you'll go first. Um, what was like the most surprising result for you this week?
I think I have two matches. I think that were pretty surprising to me. First was the Sav UPS game, and the second was the DRG NAN game. For the UPSF game, I had higher expectations coming out of them from last season, where they made it to the quarterfinals, I believe. Um, I would think that Gaming Monster would have a pretty good game against UPS, but apparently UPS had other ideas and shut them down pretty good. For Nan, Spicy popped off, but he did all he could, but Nan just was very surprising in their loss to DRG.
Yeah. Um, I don't know how maybe Absent or GCL, like how you guys rated any of those teams coming in. GCL, you were on DRG for a little bit. Talk me through. Was that result against Nan surprising? Because if you look at the kills, DRG got outfragged hard, but they won that game.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like all the guys on DRG are super good, right? And I think when they're all playing together, they have really good, um, like they're able to play off each other well. So I don't think they necessarily need to be on top, like by a big margin as far as frags go to be able to win a game, just based off of their teamwork from last season. They also had a sub, in that game. They had Icy filling in for, I think, who are they missing? Um,
DRG was missing. They were missing Law that game straight up.
yeah, so yeah, that's a big voice on the team. That's the IGL. So I think it's impressive that they were able to keep that teamwork up even with the IGL missing.
Sure. Yeah. Um, Absent, your surprising result?
I agree with the Nan versus DRG one, but I was also surprised by AVI versus Antlands.
Yeah. Do you mind explaining a little bit more? Like, did expectations on AVI were kind of high, or?
Yeah, and same for Nan. I guess there's a lot of players this season I don't really recognize, but those two teams, I, I think like majority of the players I I know I've played against before.
Did you expect Nan to open up 0-2 then? Because they had a close loss to DRG.
No, yeah. First game, that NAN first game too, I was gonna say was one as well.
Yeah.
But they were both close, so
Yeah, both games went to double digits, but Big Slime just barely able to eke out a win against Nan, and then obviously as the aforementioned game there. I guess the question I'm going to pose real quick to all of you guys: do you guys still have Nan making the playoffs despite starting 0-2?
Uh, I would expect so, since there's only 4 teams not making playoffs, and I doubt there could be less than 4 teams worse than NAN right now.
Okay. Well, just be careful because of FRG and WET, technically 6 teams don't make playoffs now, I think. We'll talk
Really?
about this a little. Yeah, because it's an 18
is
team.
there a new format this season for the playoffs?
No, it's the same
Oh,
12 seeds. So we'll talk about this
okay.
a little bit down the
Wait,
road.
was it not 14? I thought the schedule said 14.
Is it 14? I
It
did not.
says 14 on the standings on the website.
Well, I enjoy lying then, because I swore the schedule sheet said it was still 14.
Because now the playoffs bracket is 2 teams get a bye, and the other 14 teams are, sorry, 12 teams are playing on the first half.
Okay, well, I'm just completely misinformed then. Yep. So it's still 14. Yeah, so I guess, do you have Nan in your bottom 4? And it sounds like it's a no?
Yeah, I think there probably are worse teams out there.
Okay.
Still
GCL.
week 1.
Yeah, it's still week 1, but given how short the CSC season is, starting 0-2 is kind of tough. Typically speaking, it does feel like the benchmark in order to make playoffs is 6 wins, right? So you need to go 6-3.
I think only you really need four wins, really.
Oh yeah, I'm on some bullshit. Yeah, it's 4 wins, but I always keep thinking it's 6 because 6 locks you for what used to be top 12 back in the 12-team playoff.
Yeah.
Because I think there was technically scenarios where 5-win teams could miss, but I'm on it today. I apologize. GCL, surprising result for you?
Yeah, so it's sort of piggybacking off of Winter with the Sav UPS. Like, just looking at that roster, I know all those guys are super good, and it looks like they just, like, I mean, Gaming Monster, like, he's a gaming monster, you know what I mean? Like, he usually drops high ratings, and he just had just a pretty poor performance against UPS. And I have high expectations for Sav. I think that they can be a really good team, and they have a lot of really good pieces.
Yeah. Speaking of Sav, since we're on them, I actually picked the game against Wet for Sav, the one that went to quad OT, because if you look at Sav's opening schedule this week, playing UPS and then playing Wet, um, would you guys consider that game an upset when Sav beat Wet, or was that a win that Sav kind of needed to stay pace?
For me personally, I've been like, I have some like outside information that I've been told about the wet roster, so like
Uh,
it was kind of expected, honestly,
okay.
because the team dynamics is also part of the equation when you're doing roster building, and sometimes some people just don't work well together. But at the same time, it is a necessary win for Sav to just get their game going after a poor performance against UPS.
Yeah.
Yeah, I expected Sav to win that matchup personally. Like what I said, I think they played more to their level. Still, Gaming Monster had a little bit of a rough one, but everybody else, picked up that slack and were able to pull it out in like the quad OT. So it was definitely, I wouldn't have expected quad OT.
For sure.
I saw the clutches on for both teams on that game were really high. One team had 8 1vx's.
Jeez.
Okay. Well, the next segment's going to sound really stupid because I didn't realize I switched to a 14-team playoff. Because I asked you guys for your top 4s, because I was expecting the top 4 to still have a bye, but now only seeds 1 and 2 have it.
Yeah.
But too late now. We're still going to do top 4s. So I guess, why don't we start? Let's go in the opposite order. GCL, give your top 4, and then we'll chime in if we agree or disagree on the teams, and then we'll just work our way down the list from there.
Okay. At the number one, just from because like obviously I'm PFA and I haven't played any matches, so I'm just looking at the results and looking at the stats, and I had Cow at 1, and then I had ATL at 2.
Okay.
I put actually I guess I should explain like why I had Cow at 1 a little bit, but like just looking at their results, it seemed like they were. I think they have. Let me just double check. Yeah, they have no players underneath a 1.0 right now, so they're all equally fragging. I think the question is, are they able to maintain that throughout the course of the season? And looking at the names, I think that they can. Um, and then I had ATL at 2. I think that they have a really good roster. I'm good friends with a bunch of them. I played with some. I played with like Barber in season 12 in Contender, and I know some of the other guys. Zentares or Glimpus is a super good player, good friend of mine. So there might be a little bit of ATL bias there. And then I had HG at 3. Um, I was sort of at this point. It felt like everything was pretty close, in my opinion. Like I feel like there's like because it's super early and it's hard to find that distinction between the teams. Um, I just thought HG played well against what I think is the second best team. That's why I put them at the 3rd spot. And then I had OS, which has some people on it who are destroying me in combines. So it could be Cope. Um, and that's my top 4. I
Gotcha.
have an honorable mention if we want.
I'll take it.
And then I had UPS as my honorable mention for
Okay.
that top 4. And I think what's really cool about this UPS team is I think 2 out of the 5 were contender last season and are putting up pretty good numbers. Let me see. Gnarly and True, and maybe Damon. But yeah, like Gnarly has a 1.46, and I'm pretty sure he was BS contender last season. You guys would know.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. So I think I think that's really good signs, and I hope they're able to keep it up.
Yeah. Absent. I imagine Cow's also number 1 for you.
I was gonna do it unordered,
Sure.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
unordered is okay too.
But I was gonna start with OS as well.
Okay.
Same with like a lot of players on there that I remember from combines. And then I also had Lotuses.
Okay.
A lot of players on there I recognize as well, and I played with Gliss in my first season.
Mhm.
And then I also had ATL and then Cow.
Okay. Winter, is your list radically different from theirs at all?
It's a little bit different.
Okay.
So I have yeah, this is not really in order, but I had H4K,
Okay.
ATL, UPS, and I believe Cow, but Cow was like almost like number 4 for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel
For me, I think H4K, they have really good gamers. I'm just looking at really seeing if they could actually get like their leadership and structure set throughout the season, but they have the pieces to work with to make it work.
Mhm.
Um, for let me see, for the other teams, so for ATL, like GCL said, very big fan of Olympus or Towers. Air's also a pretty good player. Barber had a life game against us, so good job to him. And yeah, the only concern for me on ATL really is Freeman. I'm not sure if he can really hold up throughout the season, but I'll see as the season goes. But for me, ATL seems like a pretty good team as well with somewhat good of a draft. I'm thinking for Cal, why I think they're a little bit lower than the rest is just because they had really good wins, but it's against like teams that I believe aren't as strong as the other teams that played for the first 2 weeks. Of course, they can obviously prove more throughout the season, but for the first 2 weeks, their opponents, in my opinion, are a bit weak.
Yeah. Okay. I went a little crazy, and I don't think this is a popular opinion. I could be talked out of it, but I went top 4, and again, I didn't really order them. I went Cow, UPS, DRG, Wet. Um, and this was after the whole like plus IC minus Z incident. I kind of thought about ATL instead of wet, and I was like, and then I looked at the schedule for ATL, and it kind of scared me off because they play a lot of those teams that we've mentioned in the top four. They've got matchups against UPS, they have matchups against Greenhouse, and then they have matchups against Cow on MD4, and then technically two of my top four again in DRG and wet. Um, do any of you want to try and talk me out of one of those last two teams for
What were
being in my
the
top
last two?
four? Yeah, DRG and wet. I think Cow and UPS you can kind of like I can kind of get away with, but you
I
know,
think I think my only question mark on that is um so for like as far as DRG goes, I think DRG played I think H4K is a really good team.
mhm,
So like they're in that group that I was talking about where it sort of gets the the lines get blurred. And they just didn't quite stand out because they only played one match day due to the storm. So
yeah,
that's why I didn't want to throw them in.
okay,
I don't know if I threw
Yeah,
any other teams that only had one match day.
I
Um,
avoided some of those teams as well,
yeah,
but
and
I would have like UPS as an honorable mention as well.
mhm. And I think DRG playing into them, um, especially they have sorry, DRG is like a good team, like right, like I really enjoyed those guys, and like I said, they have really good teamwork together, and I think they definitely can make that top four. They just haven't convinced me yet, right? Um,
what would it take for them to convince you? Like, is there a matchup you see on the schedule? It's like, wow, if they beat them, like this team is good.
I mean, I think if they're able to pull out the win against Winter and the HG boys, I think that would be really good signs
Yeah.
for them.
Well, I don't know if Winter will let that happen. Um, I guess real quick before we move on to talk about the playoff schedule, since it's technically top two now. If I ask you to shrink your top four to top two, let's make one as a podcast, so to speak, right? I think it's pretty obvious. All of us rate Cow very highly. I think reasonably so. It's like the best round margin in the tier by a pretty. I don't want to say it's a pretty good margin. I think OS is close, but obviously Cow is probably our number one. Does anyone object to that?
Um,
Uh
I,
oh.
I I might even, but like
Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
you're on the team. I
Yeah,
understand.
Yeah,
it's
I
hard to
I
put
think I
yourself
want to
down.
see I want to see more games from Cal before I can really say they're like the top team.
hmm
Just because, like I said earlier, like the two teams they played, FRG, which in my opinion probably it's their first season in Chile. I think they're probably gonna have a rough time. And then HR also another like a new GM as well. So I think those two teams are probably like just getting the feel of the tier first before they really start flaring up. So I think the wins, although yes, they are wins, I feel like probably I want to see a little bit more from Cal before I say they're like officially the top.
I agree. So
Yeah. Who would you want to put in number two then? We say Cow number one, ATL number two.
yeah, I think for me it would be between like ATL and OS.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like a tight spot.
I was gonna say absent. I think you were the only person to mention OS. I think GCL had them as an honorable mention, right?
No, I had
Really?
UPS
I thought
as my honorable mention, and OS was
Uh,
my fourth.
okay, okay. So it's not as extreme.
yeah,
Any words you want to glaze OS for to try and convince Winter and myself to support them? Because I mean, I don't like Spence.
I'm not sure. Just like good experience from some of the players in combines, I guess.
That's fair.
I mean, like they have two, Bnogs and Cash, which I think they're like perennial good players in Chali.
Yeah,
And like
that's
names
fair.
I've always heard. And then uh Pyru was destroying in combines, and so far he has a 1.01 right now, but I don't think that's a reflection of how good he actually is.
Mhm,
Um, I think that once he gets acclimated, it's his first CSC season, so it's that little transition period where you're getting used to playing Team CS, and I think once they get into the groove of things, they can be really, really good.
for sure.
They also won both their games like 13-6. Like you can,
Mhm.
like your teammates can just be taking your kills from you in games like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, considering I got the entire playoff format wrong, maybe you guys can school me on this. But I originally proposed the script to you guys, and I was going to ask you guys, does Chally need a new playoff system? And we've got one where the top 2 teams have buys, and then I think seeds 3 through 14 are all playing. Are they all playing on the first day?
Yeah, they are. So then there will be, I
So it's-
believe, six teams advancing out of that stage. So there'll
yes.
be 2 more teams from bye. It'll be 8 teams.
Yeah. So Winter, I think you oh, it's Winter and Absence. So you guys were both in Chally last season, and I think you guys both made the playoffs, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And GCL, feel free to chime in here as we go. But is this an improvement from top 4 buys?
I think
Uh,
maybe.
yeah, it's probably improvement because you have more teams in. Um,
Yeah.
However, with only 2 teams by, the fight will be a little bit more aggressive for the top 2 seeds for a bye. So it'll be more interesting this season to see how it turns out. But last season, it was like a bunch of teams that were like tied up, which
Yeah.
required GM 1v1s, which is kind of fun to watch, honestly.
I guess the question I propose to you is, do you guys like the increased volatility in the first round? Because technically last season, the lower seeded team won in the first round, except for the Cow LEC matchup.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm all for it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Sometimes just things happen. And the lowest seed somehow gets deep into the playoffs, and that happens all the time. It's a good story.
There's less
I'm
worry for tiebreakers for the top 2 rather than top 4. And personally, I don't even know if I like getting the bye. At least the one season where I had one, it felt like the other team had warmed up already. They already got to play a best of 3.
Yeah, and my point on playoffs in general. I haven't played in Chally playoffs yet, but at least in like Contender, like I had I've had two seasons. No, I've had one season with a bye. Um, and being that team with a bye is really tough, and lowering it down to just 2 teams getting the bye, I think is better because it lowers the volatility, in my opinion. Because I feel like a lot of times the team that gets the bye uh, loses that series
Yeah.
because of that warm up time that that team going into that match has.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
It's a lot more
I think there's
theory.
like a map pool shift too when you go from best of ones to best of threes. So having like one map or like one series where you can play a best of 3 and kind of like iron out a few more things, you might like it's good. It can give you an advantage going against the team that got the bye.
I feel like when you're a team with a bye, you have that extra time, so you get that extra practice time, um, and you are trying new things, and then you pull those out in that after like in your bye match, and it some of it doesn't work or it does work, and it's all
Yeah.
up in the air. You don't have as much practice time with it and like actual in-game like application of it.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of surprised you guys all kind of share that general sentiment because I've always been of the thought of mind that like the less series you play, the less chances you have to get upset basically as a top 2 or a top 4 seed. Um,
That's
just to give
true as
you
well.
Yeah, just to give you a little bit of like stats last season. So Recruit and Chally had the top 4 buy system, and only 2 out of those 8 like top 4 seeds ended up losing. So AP ended up losing to you guys, Absent, last season, as
Yeah.
the 3 seed, and then the 3 seed for Recruit, which was UPS, also ended up losing to 6 seed HG. So both games, the 6 seed ended up prevailing, and obviously, like you guys kind of mentioned, it's not like there's a huge gap of quality between 6 and 3, but
Yeah.
because
I
I've
have to
talked
agree.
to I talked to other people around CSC2, and a lot of people actually see the buy as like a bad thing.
Yeah. I guess like it's also personal experience because I think from the 3 seasons I can think of in Chally, the one that I had a bye, we lost right away, and the 2 that we didn't, I think we won our first series. So
Okay.
Yeah, the season I had to buy, it was undefeated season into losing to whatever the 12th seed, 13th seed or something, which was disappointing, and So, and then when I was on the opposite end of that one season, we beat the #1 seed. So I just have a lot of personal experience with like viewing the bye as a negative thing.
Yeah.
I think for a buy, in my opinion, it'll be good if the buy is on a Thursday, compared to a Tuesday. A buy on a Tuesday and you still have to play Thursday gives you very little time to prep compared to a buy on Thursday and a play on Tuesday, allowing you 5 days of demo reviews, strategizing, practices, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And it gives you a lot more opportunity to use that buy effectively compared to a buy on a Tuesday, which doesn't really do much for you, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's
It's
actually
more time for the other team to cool off as well.
yeah, that's actually a fair point. I think last season that was the case because they ended up playing on a Thursday and then swapping back in to like the next round on Tuesday. I wonder, is that the case again this season for top two? It is. So seeds 1 and 2 will have that like extra bot, that like those 5 days like you mentioned. So I am kind of curious to see if that continues to hold out um, moving forward. Also, okay. Let's move on to Preds predictions. I think originally it was 3, and then we kind of realized that HG was playing Big Slime this week, so we threw it at 4 just for the fun of it because Kono's here, Winter's here, so why not get a little bit of banter before in? Kono, do you have the first set? Okay, all right. Wow, this is sick. Jesus. All right. Wow. Huh. Okay. Well, should we go in a line starting from left to right? We,
Yeah, let's go for
dude, we all actually picked UPS. That's
Yeah.
kind of shocking.
it.
GCL, weren't you just talking about how H4K was a good team?
Yeah, and I think, but that also, I think UPS is a better team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
that's
one was
Like,
still close for me.
like with my like, so I mean, I will always, in most scenarios, in like the tiers that in Contender and Challenger, I always think UPS is a good team, and I'll always favor them. Usually, I mean, obviously depends on the roster, but they have Q. Let me look at the roster. Uh, Gnarly, uh, and all those. And let me see. Sorry, one sec. Q, Gnarly, Damon, True, Andre, and Damon. I think that's a pretty solid 5. And they've been playing really well in these in the first game that they played, and I don't see any reason why they wouldn't um, against H4K.
yeah. I guess the question here is there anyone that would need to pop off on H4K that would like make you kind of reconsider, or is this just like, yeah, we're locking in UPS and we're just going with it?
I'm really looking at Griffin. I mean,
Okay.
I think
good.
I think this happens a lot where a team plays one match and one player just drops like ridiculous donk, you know, numbers and just completely destroys, and then the next game they have a like not even a bad game, but just in comparison they have a worse game, right? They drop he had a 1.49 and he drops like a 1.15, right? I think what I would more like to see instead of just one person popping off is like as a collective, playing more consistent CS other than just relying on one person to be able to pull out.
Yeah, and that's what you think UPS is giving you with 4 players above a 1. Is that like kind of the thought process?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think UPS has more of a replicable play style so far in their one game. They both have played one game,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. That was kind of my thought process too. I just knew a lot of more of the names from UPS, and it's like you're 2 match days in. Technically, this is the rescheduled MD2 game, so it's not even like they're 2 match days in. But I was ready to swap between UPS and H4K in my top 4, depending on the winner of this game, you know. Um, but that I wasn't expecting a UPS sweep down the board. So let's go to Cow ATL. That's much more contested. So Absent and I are shilling for Cow, and then Winter and
Yeah.
GCL are going for ATL. Absent, give me the down low.
Uh,
Why are you winning this one?
I, I don't know. I think it'll be close, but I think our team's pretty good this season. All 5 of our players.
Yeah.
But
Winter,
I do recognize a lot of the ATL names as well.
you got a counter argument, Winter?
I mean, well, here's the thing. I think for me personally, I think Cow is also like they have very good aimers, like Abs and Giraffe, both of them. I know from previous season, they're pretty good riflers. I think the biggest like factor into this game is whether Assassin is actually an assassin or is he just ass in his name. You know, um, he's a very hit or miss type of guy, and I don't know if I would trust that in a game like against ATL, which I believe is a pretty good team. But definitely it's a very high octane game on paper, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I kind of just went Cal myself because, Abs and you and Giraffe have been playing for a couple of seasons now.
Yeah.
I just kind of trust that synergy, and then, I think Assassin is going to like regress to some extent, right? Like you can't play at a 1-5 level the entire season, or I mean, I
Yeah.
hope not,
He's
but
been playing really good in the pugs I've played with him so far,
yeah.
too.
But I think just the fact that he's a well-rounded player, I saw he was like picking up the op, um, but he had like 22 kills on Anubis. I mean, like across like 15 rounds, that's kind of ridiculous. Like even if he quote unquote
Yeah.
regresses a little bit, like he's not gonna go negative, right? Surely, you know.
I mean, I've seen Assassin both good and bad Assassin. I've seen both,
Yeah,
so
that's
there is
fair.
a chance he could be doing a 6 and 20 compression. There's also a chance he's going 20 and 6. You know, he's very hit or miss. I've seen both.
Well, Abson, you better figure out what makes him go 6 and 20. You better repress it.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving and let's talk about the ACA game or ACA AVI game, and again another sweep from all of us to predict AVI. I guess the question here is, I think I asked this before, um, if AVI was going to make playoffs with 14 teams in the hunt, and I think, or no, I asked this about Nan, right? So I guess this means that all of us do think to some extent ACA is making, or not ACA, sorry, AVI is going to make the playoffs this season, right?
Yeah, with 14, I think it's very doable.
Yeah. GCL, any reasoning behind the AVI pick?
Um, so I have been playing like because I was drafted in season 9 by AVI and played 2 seasons with them. Um, and like so Fuffy and K House have been around forever, you know. And I think Fluffy's a really good player and a really good caller. And also Ash is coming up from Contender, who I think is another really good player with Nia, who played a little bit poorly in their games, but I think it's a super strong roster um, with Fluffy at the helm. And when I look at ACA's roster, it's just a little bit more, I guess, question marks. Like I don't know as much, I guess, if that makes any sense. And so that's what led me to pick AVI.
When you mentioned that the LEC result against AVI was like your quote unquote surprise of the week, were there any like warning signs that you saw on the stat book for AVI that made you worried about it, or is it just like a bump in the road for them?
Did I bring up
I
LEC
don't know.
AVI?
I forgot. I don't know if it was you, but someone mentioned that they were shocked that LEC beat AVI.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, that was you. Yeah. Did you see anything absent in the stat sheet that made you kind of worried for AVI?
Sure. Like at a first glance, seeing Ashes Awaken at like 1.37, and then everyone else is a bit far, but it is still 2 games.
Yeah. And I mean, AVI 0-2 is kind of deceptive because they played the game against OS as a 4v5. Um,
Oh yeah, I forgot to ask about that.
Yes,
Did,
I don't know
did they have
what
a sub?
happened. No.
No, it was just 4v5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they
Hawk
said,
is slacking, bro.
yeah, I think Hawkish fell asleep or something.
How did you even get 6 rounds?
Unfortunate.
Yeah, the fact that
That's a
they
good
got six
question.
is kind of impressive, but
Hey, it's
uh,
Anubis T
Oh,
said. You never you
Yeah.
can
They
you
won
can
CT
4v5
pistol too.
Anubis.
yeah,
yeah. We gotta talk to the GM for that one.
yeah.
You can let that happen.
I think Cho would definitely let us slide on Hawkish's house if we need to end up doing that to start motivating him to
We
submit.
need a live interview for that one.
Yeah, but I think it's fair play to say that AVI isn't as bad as their record indicates, despite it only being 2 games in.
Yeah.
Um,
I think honestly, from what I saw from one game of K House last season, honestly, I would expect him to do more than what he's putting out right now.
Yeah.
But I don't know how the team's going right now. I haven't too deep into them right now, but seeing both games in K House and not performing probably worries me a little bit. But seeing Fluffy on the top is a surprise as well.
Buffy is definitely like I said, like with him at the helm. I think he's at the helm as far as like strategy and fragging, in my opinion. Um, Fluffy is one of the most consistent players, and I think he can lead by example for these. Like, I think this is. I don't know. I don't recognize the name Sanity. I think it's his first season in CSC, but hopefully they're able to get him going. And also, like, I forgot who said it, but with K House like performing at the bottom of the scoreboard, I think once he's able to find his groove, and they get Sanity up as well with like protocols and overall game plan, I think they'll be able to be a really good team. And I think their O2 is very fraudulent. I think they should be. I
It's
think
just
if they have more
uh,
playtime, they will be a really good team.
yeah, it's just like in my opinion, Fluffy's a really good support player, and when your support player is on the top of the scoreboard, there's probably something that's not happening throughout the team that should be. Um, if I look at some of the utility wise, let's just see real quick. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
he's two
Fluffy's
300
throwing a
UD,
lot. Yeah, a
27
lot of util
flashes.
is being thrown by Fluffy. But at the same time, I guess the team is not capitalizing off of that utility that Fluffy's throwing.
I'll also
Which
throw out real quickly. Sanity has been in the league for a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe he's been in elite at one point, but
Okay.
that could be a stretch.
Yeah.
And I think you talking about like the util, that's super valid about the support player. Um, Sorry for dragging this on. I just wanted to say this one last
No, it's okay.
thing. I think him throwing Fluffy throwing 27 flashes and is a perfect example of them not having like any protocols at the moment or any, because no one else is throwing. Like the next highest flashes is Sanity and Chaos tied with 5, right? So I think maybe once they distribute and have more of a, especially on Ancient where everything is really spawn based, they're just having Fluffy throw like all the util. I think once they have everybody knowing all the util that they need for their XX and they're taking their space, that's what will improve them.
For sure. Okay. Well, we've got a couple minutes left. We've got probably 6 minutes left. Let's start throwing hands because none of you guys predicted Big Slime to win against HG. So I understand Winter needs to support his own team, okay, but you two, Absent and GC, you guys have a lot of explaining to do. Okay. I invited you onto this podcast. The least you could do is show me a little bit of hospitality.
I mean, I think, I don't know. I think HG is a really strong team. That's why I had them in my top 4. And I don't think BS is a weak team, but I just think HG is a stronger team.
I agree.
Yeah, that's disappointing, man. Kono, I got to do a better job vetting these guys next time. There's
It
snakes
it
everywhere.
was a hard one since both teams are like one game played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the same issue with the UPS game, right? Like you're
Yeah.
kind of going off of a one game sample size. Um, and I think like a lot of us mentioned ATL was like a really strong team, so much so that like we kind of agreed on a consensus like top 3 if not top 4 for them to go to 11-13 against them. Sure HG 0-1, but like that's probably like one of the quote unquote
Yeah.
quality losses you can find in the tier right now, you know. Um, and like Big Slime beat they beat a good Nan team, but like the margin of victory was exactly the same in terms of that loss. It was just a
well, to be
2-round
fair,
gap.
you guys had Penguin. You know that was I believe in JT5, and I'm looking forward to that debut.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm kind of curious, man. Winter, you want to talk smack to the producer real quick, or
Yeah, I mean, clearly the weakest player of the team looking forward to get him into a negative -0.08 rating during the match day. Looking forward for you to have 40 minutes of flash time throughout the game, and yeah, I'll make sure your team gets it 13-0. Yeah, definitely. No, but yeah, definitely a good core of players. Parrish and Mills and Char, very good riflers. I loved JT5 throughout the combines. Played a lot of games with JT, so I definitely know he can hit hard. But it'll be a good game.
Kono, you got anything to say to Winter?
Well, I know that like the initial power rankings, which I'm sure everyone is like, takes a look at and is just like, well, whatever. There's nothing to really base this off of. But the preseason power rankings had HG at 1, and I believe they had us at 2 in Chally, and so
That's kind of crazy if that's the case. Yeah, and it was the case, yeah. So it was HG 1, Big Slime 2, ATL 3, NAD 4.
mm-hmm. And
Why
so
is Cow 10th on these? Hello?
Yeah, I don't know who makes this.
yeah. Either way,
I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, there were only like 5 people that voted during the preseason.
that's typically what ends up happening. And then also, the
Oh.
lack of information. It's talks like these, obviously the stats and results after multiple match days, and then people start kind of getting caught up on, I guess a little bit more of an accurate power ranking. But regardless, I saw the 1 and 2, and I thought, oh, that'd be I'm looking forward to this game, and I was really happy that HG were able to accommodate with the whole hurricane and everything, and some of the scheduling issues we had, and allowed us to reschedule so we could get our 5.
Yeah, we don't want any excuses, we don't want to hear about that.
Yeah, of course. yeah. Because a 3 with because otherwise we would have had to play with 3 people if we did it on Thursday, and if we lost, I would have been crying Mickey Mouse game.
Hey, I mean, you could just be like hawkish and just make it a 3v5.
that
just
too.
claim that. You could just claim that it was clearly unfair, but just give us the win.
Yeah.
That's what's important.
All right. Well, that is an interesting slate of predictions. I can't wait to watch the bot back, and it's like all wrong, by the way. It's like H4K wins, and then like HCA ends up winning, and it's just like, why do I try and host a podcast, bro? I swear to God. Do you guys fill out the JPC forms, by the way?
Only if I have time.
Okay.
Also, if I remember correctly, his results from last week, he didn't even color it in, so I'm kind of disappointed in JPC.
Wow. JPC has been put on notice, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Are you going to put LEC in the bottom 4 now just because of that? Like, he's not going to make the playoffs because it's that extreme?
I don't know, maybe. I mean, my last memory of JPC is 13-2ing him on Ancient. That was the
Wow.
last time I saw him.
That's harsh.
Yeah, he was with the H4K boys in season 13. That was one hell of a ride.
That's fair. Well, I think that will do it for now. Thank you guys for coming on. I need to get the Tendy boys on here in a second. But any parting words for the stream?
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Of course.
Thanks for having me, and ATL up.
Oh. Am I gonna say ATL up too? Are we all gonna say it? Actually, you two are playing. You can't really say it, so don't say it.
You could say it.
Hi, Nade. Totally don't cut me after I say that.
Yeah, I'm gonna snitch on you to that. I'm sorry, Winter. All right. Thanks for coming on again. I'm gonna kick you guys out. We're gonna go to a 5-minute production break, and hopefully by the time we get back, everyone from Tendy will be ready. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace.
All right, bathroom break over. I've got some yappers this time. I thought the Charlie boys, lovely guests, lovely guests. Apparently they needed to be turned up a little bit, so I went out and I got a Wash GM. I got my Pookie. I got Trout Scoper. Hi, Trout Scoper.
Hello.
How are we all doing tonight?
Doing good, doing good.
Good.
Doing good.
Yeah. EQZ, how is your defamation lawsuit going against Prospect Chat?
Good. Good.
Good.
Yeah.
You think you're gonna win it? Who did you hire to represent you?
You're not gonna like it, but
Oh,
it's Mason.
you're cooked. You're actually
You're done
cooked.
for, bud. I'm sorry.
I don't think there's a chance in hell you win that case anymore.
Nope.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna yap. We're gonna do it. Let's just go right into it. Yeah. So first match day, more or less in the books. How many matches got rescheduled? I think only one did, right?
Only one, just
Yeah,
the
and
Nan Wet.
yeah.
Yeah. So, 5 teams are currently undefeated in Contender. They are UPS, HG, FRG, Gas, and then PA. Is also undefeated. We'll talk about PA in a second. But I was just curious, and let's go from Trout Scoper down towards Spence. Trout, give me the team that you think will be the last undefeated team standing out of those 5.
So I'm stuck between 2, but I'm leaning towards 1. I think it's either UPS or Gas. I think either of those 2 will pull it out. I'm leaning towards UPS. I don't know if are we giving reasoning now or
Yeah, let's give reasoning and then.
yeah. I think they might have like a higher ceiling to play with, based on their roster, and how they've done. I think they're kind of locked down on CT side, and getting those rounds in like MR12 economy is crucial. They're shooters; they do their thing. It's also UPS greatness. I mean, I hate to admit it, guys, but like they're just a great franchise. I see them going. I have one stipulation on that though; it doesn't last long. I don't think they go even like 4-0 or 5-0. But I do think they keep it going.
If they don't go 4-0 and 5, who's beating them?
Who's beating them?
Yeah.
I gotta check their schedule.
Okay.
Come back to me.
Okay. EQZ, who you got?
Well, I'm gonna sound like a copycat, but literally on my notes I had the same thing between 2 teams, UPS and Gas, but I'm leaning towards UPS as well, just because, like you said, just the overall team just looks more solid to me, and I think their opponents also makes a difference. Like Gas is gonna go against Gene, so that's gonna be a tough game for them. And yeah, I don't know. I just think I don't want to butcher his name, but it's Puedes. I think that he's got a point. Putis 0.86 rating, and I think I know he can do better. So once he starts ball rolling, for sure, go far.
Spence, please don't tell me you had UPS.
I plead the 5th.
Oh, no.
I also had UPS.
Really?
I mean, okay, so they've already touched on it a little bit. Sky Maxim and Genome have started off hot.
Yeah.
And then Worries, I know through VDC is another guy who, like, honestly, if you would have asked me anybody on this team to have like a 1.2, 1.3 rating after the first 2, I would have picked him. So all the firepower in the world, kind of across the entire team. Plus, like I don't really expect a lot out of their next 2 or 3 opponents. So it's not necessarily that they might be the best team in the tier, but I think they're, just from like what I've seen early doors, they have the easiest path to winning their next 2, maybe 3 games.
Yeah, I do have an answer on who I think beats them finally, and I think the best chance would be Party Animals match day 6.
Yeah.
I think they could honestly hit a clean 5-0 to start the season.
Agreed.
Aka might give them a little bit of trouble, but I think the games leading up to that, I think they're free low for them. Honestly, no offense to those teams, but I think they're just in such a strong footing right now. But match day 6, they lose.
Yeah, which is funny because I actually picked PA to be my undefeated team. Straight up. I looked at the PA schedule. It's like SAV and then ABW and then ATL, and then they play UPS on MD6. I was like, okay. And I think just like when you talk about contender IGLs, I think like if you don't mention Skimmix, you're probably trolling. Both in terms of like an in-game leader, but also like an emotional leader, right, to kind of rally the troops. And then they've got Dinger, Skullpack, and Jace. And I mean, I watched Jace in like prospect combines, and it was like the most obvious, like no doubt, like there's no shot this guy stays prospect kind of player, you know, like just runs out onto a bomb site, kills 3 people, like zero regard for like what the other team thinks, plans, or like what they want to do. Um, and for me, it was just like the game against Nan, and we'll talk about it here in just a second here, but like the game against Nan was labored, and then like not the next one they go up against AVI, they just cream them. I think they played them on the same night too, and when that team got rolling, that snowball got real big. Um, so I am kind of interested now to see like the result of that MD6 game because if both teams pull up 5-0, oh, that could be a good one. Do you
That'll
think
definitely be a fun one
PA
to
will be able
watch.
to sustain it, or is someone going to beat PA out of those 3 teams?
I think of the three, Sav has the best shot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was gonna sleep on Sav.
Um, again, I think that one's gonna be talked about a little bit later, but I don't know. I mean, ABW has a lot of question marks to me.
Mhm.
They have the ability to do really really well. Freya was someone that was super high up on our draft board. Calf and Large Lunch also have positive ratings, but then it's a lot to kind of be asked out of the last 2 players. So I guess it depends on kind of how they perform on the day. But I think they have a chance, but I would take that PA team over them right now.
Um, so speaking of PA, we'll keep glazing them, but I don't know, Spence, you've been here for forever. Have you seen a game ever get to 54 rounds?
Um, there was a game 5 seasons ago on Inferno
Of course.
that went into the 60s,
I mean, Jesus Christ.
and every single like kill, assist, util damage, flash, like all of those records, I want to say are from that game. Um, it was a YC game,
Okay.
and like the entire thing about that team was YC always goes to OT on Inferno. I think they played it like 4 times that season, and all 4 games went to overtime, including the like 60-round game.
Yeah.
So, but this is easily the second longest game we've seen in CSC from my memory.
Yeah. I'm kind of pissed that like I don't know if the demo got corrupted because this was the one that went to a tie, right?
Mhm.
And then I think like because of the nonsense that might have happened around MD1, I think they ended up resuming this game later. So I'm not sure if
They
they
did.
ended up playing a second game out or if this was a continuation. They just couldn't finish it in OT.
So I actually reached out to Skimmix and got the scoreboards for this.
Okay.
So they had booted the backup of the server
Okay.
to, I think it was 12-11. They played out the last round to tie it again, and then they
Oh,
just played
okay.
out the full OT. So scoreboards are for the most part relatively accurate, and I have those pulled up.
Do you want to send them, bro? I'm just curious
I
to see
can.
how high the kill total got because you want to send it to Kono? Send it to Kono actually. He could put it in the middle. Yeah. We have the
Son,
tech for it. Oh my god.
yeah, there's some crazy kills in there.
All right. Let me know when you let me know when you get that, Kono. But just to fill in the gaps here, pretty much everyone had at least 30 kills and like over 4k damage, which is kind of ridiculous. And it looks like yeah,
There.
there you go. So PA ended up winning out basically, it looks like,
Mhm.
unless I'm misunderstanding that middle section of the scoreboard. But it looks like Nan had multiple match points and then just couldn't close it against PA. But yeah, I mean that's kind of insane. Trout, have you ever played a game that went even into like triple or quad OT yet?
Not in CSC. In on Face It, yeah, I played a 28-24 game, like 2-3 weeks ago. And it's a grind fest, and I think I'd enjoy it a little bit more if it was a like an official. But these things take a lot out of you, man, and like they're fun though. They're fun, honestly. Like I can't like I'd never walk away from them, especially if you win. If you lose, they suck. It's like, damn, that was like an hour and a half of my time. But if you win, that shit feels incredible.
I guess the question here is like, does this ever replicate kind of like what the playoffs feel like, or is this really more like just you got to get through it, you know?
I think winning this feels like infinitely better than honestly like a second round playoff stomp. Like this is like a war of like attrition, and like just getting a win in the playoffs is like okay, not like it's like not great, like a good feeling, but like this shows that like you can play and you can like continue to play at like the same level over what 54 rounds. Like that's ridiculous, and it shows a lot about the team as a whole.
I think something like this as well, so early in the season, they're gonna like they're so repped on Ancient now, it's not even crazy. It's not even funny.
Yeah.
Like I think I have this written down. It's like to me, so I have some friends on the AVI team, so I got to talk with them a little bit. Um, they were aware that this game was going on Ancient. They were able to watch parts of the game. My question is, why do you still choose Ancient? Regardless of how good of a map it is for you, and watching this team is like this team is on fire. They're hyped to hell because they just won this game. Like, why is Ancient even like an option for these guys right now this early in the season? Just because of how many rounds they've played in the last 3 days.
Yeah. I think it's definitely confusing because I had a chance to read over some of the text from like PA Contender. They were like screaming, laughing when they saw like Ancient Open.
Yeah.
Do you know, Spence, if AVI picked it too, or
Um,
left open? Like, was it floated and then PA picked
I
it?
I can I can check the
Okay.
Analytica real quick.
Yeah, sure.
I would personally, I wouldn't even float ancient
Yeah,
if
right.
I
Like,
Um,
knew that this
Yeah.
happened.
A-
Like,
AVI was the last ban. They banned Mirage to take it to Ancient. And
that.
so according to them, they're not scared of playing the map, which good on them. But they should be scared to play CT side. They have a 14% win rate over 2 maps on CT side right now. That AVI team. So I don't know who needs to kind of tell them that they can get kills on CT side as well. But someone needs to, and someone needs to quick if they're going to figure out anything in the season.
EQZ, thoughts on this? Because I don't know how much input you had on like playoffs map ban last season, or if you like looked at the maps at all. But like, surely it's not smart to take someone to a map they just played 54 rounds on.
Yeah, no. I think it's pretty obvious that I think anyone would have disregarded Ancient and like just right away, like, okay, we're not playing that.
Yeah.
Props to AVI for at least trying it, but obviously didn't go well for them.
yeah, I think I'd float my perm before this.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. Maybe later in the season it's worth playing, but I think this early it's not.
Nah.
So speaking of undefeated teams, I was an idiot and I didn't realize Chally and Recruit changed their playoff formats because they added teams this season. So Spence, you'll know the most about this, but before it was a top 4 bye in Chally, now it's a top 2, and then they expanded it to 14 teams. Same for Recruit because they added 2 franchises there and they added 2 teams in Chally. Prospect and Tender stayed the same, where it's just top 16 make playoffs and then everybody plays on the first match day. EQZ, let's start with you. I guess the question here is, do you think high seeds like have enough of an advantage, so to speak, in the current format? Should there be buys basically in prospect slash contender playoffs?
Um, I personally think so, just because I don't think the advantage. There's so many teams now that I think giving the first and second place team would be, good enough advantage for them to get a bye. I mean, they do it like they just did it in the Blast tournament. Navi and I think it was Vitality, right? They got straight into the semis, and then the other 2 teams, or the other 4 teams, have to go through the quarters first to get to the semis. So I feel like following that sort of pattern, I think is pretty good. it still makes for upsets. Like I think G2 beat Vitality, right? Today?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think it gives, I mean, it gives the advantage to, finishing first and second. Like I think there should be some sort of accomplishment for finishing top 2 in the regular season. I think that's probably the best option for me.
Trout, you agree with that take?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no. I think like it's the same thing in like every sport. I know this is just CSC, but like if we're doing it for other tiers, I feel like giving those 1, 2, I don't think top 4, obviously, but like those top 2 seeds should definitely be getting a first round bye, give them a week off. They just dogged out the entire season. I don't know if buys are super advantageous. I mean, you're like a week off kind of cold. Um, but I think for a lot of teams, it's helpful. You know what I mean? Um, Especially like let's say like you're still the 1 seed, but you lose like match day 12 or whatever. You lose the last game of the season. Like a week to like mentally reset and like just work on what you need to can give you a lot of like advantage going into the playoffs.
Yeah, Spence. I mean, I was talking to the Chally guys earlier. I don't know if you heard that discussion or not, but like, I was kind of shocked that like all of them were like, yeah, the buy sucks. I don't want the buy because it makes me cold coming in. And I was just thinking, but you play one less BO3 to win, like there's one less opportunity to like just come in and drop an absolute shitter of a game. But I mean, Spence, do you agree with that? I don't think I've ever asked you for your opinion.
I'm on the side of the Chally guys actually. So, for me, with how short these seasons are, that extra BO3 to me is great practice. Like, regardless of where you are, obviously every team wants to try and win every game, but when you get to that end, it's like like my teams have been hoping that we get that last game. Again, we're not trying to lose or anything like that, but there have been times where we're rooting for other teams to win because it'll give us the 4 seed instead of the 3 seed, and we get that extra game, or kind of wherever it falls with that. I don't know. Again, I like to carry momentum into playoffs, even though that first round is usually on a Tuesday and it's not a ton of time off. The prep and like the difference between this and a bunch of other leagues like the NFL, where it's a full like collision sport, that extra week off is great. But CSC or like Blast, where these teams are being paid to play and review Counter-Strike games, it's like they're spending how many hours over the course of over a day, like reviewing kind of what those like their opponents are gonna do. People what skim through one Latify 2D demo in here, and congratulations, that's your demo review. Dives might have some sheet, God knows what they have over there, but personally, I would rather just go play. Like the other team in a BO3 is picking probably one of your bottom 3 or 4 maps, unless they're just super confident on a map that they think they're just better than you on. So I think it's just a bunch of really good extra practice, a way to stay warm, kind of stay in it.
Would you support buys at all for like the top 2, or are you just gonna keep the current 16? Because I know I'm gonna ask you all this by the way,
Mhm.
but like Contender got 2 new teams, but the playoff didn't change. It's not like we went from a 16 to an 18 team playoff. Um, I guess the question is, do you give top 2 buys and or do you move the playoff line down?
I would say no to both.
Okay.
Um, I would move it up to 12. I think playoffs should be a little bit harder to get into, but I also understand the reasoning of where we're coming from with that. We pick and choose when we decide to say CSC is a for fun league. But also, if you're the number 1 seed and you're playing against 16 and you can't beat them, you're a fraud.
Well,
As
I
the
mean,
number 1 seed to make semifinals, you have to beat the number 16 and the number 8 or 9 team. If you can't do that, sucks, bud.
speaking of fraud, I think someone from that number 1 team did commit a little bit of it.
Ayo.
Hey, anyone remember AVI Contender from last season?
Oh yeah, no, I have in my notes. I have him looking at you, Mason and String, but I wasn't gonna say it.
Oh no.
But
Trout
they're good
EQZ.
friends of mine.
Yeah, Trout EQZ. Do you guys agree with that? Like the playoff line should go up?
Oh no, I don't think it should be moved at all. Like if they're gonna do anything, it's got to be the buys. I mean, some teams might like it, some teams not, but just bulking up the playoffs even more, no. Like
Yeah.
if you can beat respect like what Spence said, honestly, like if you can't beat the 16 seed, like it doesn't like you're not gonna beat the 18 seed probably. Like the same level of upset's gonna happen. Um, and I think it adds less excitement in like those last few match days for those bottom teams. You know, if there's only 4 spots, like if you're the 18th seed, like you're still respectfully you're still shit. And like it like you're not doing it, but with the 16 teams, like that feels right. Like it's like it should be the top 16, top 18 is just like consolation prizes at that point. It gives them another match day to get dogged on. Um, that's about it.
Yeah.
I was
I
gonna
mean,
say
like,
I was looking at the old season 14 schedule, and I don't think outside of the funny business between ACA and AVI last season, I think every other top 8 team ended up winning out. Like the higher seed always won, both between prospect and contender. I think the only upset in 10D last season in the first round was FRG beating Sav EQZ. That was 10 seed FRG. But
prospect.
yeah, but that was like a
Yeah,
7-10
I
matchup,
remember. Yeah, I
So
think FRG were a little bit better than their seed was, but
okay.
Yeah, I think when the seeding's close like that, like a 7 to 10 or whatever, like a lot of teams can just have like a rough start to the season and then like pull it together towards the end, and like it's not going to reflect well in just like the seeding number. So those I don't even consider it's not the same level of upset as like a 16 beating a 1
Yeah.
or even like like a 2 and a 15 or however it gets played out. Um those like middle seeds are like they're all fairly close teams, and like their regular season stories don't exactly like reflect in the seating placement.
Yeah, especially without a full round robin. I mean, like I don't know if you guys play March Madness or anything, but like I always just flip a coin on 7 and 10 and 8 and 9 because like one, I don't watch a ton of college basketball, so but like two, it's just like you said, Trout, like the stats always say that these two teams are pretty much equivalent to each other.
Yeah.
Especially with the fact that we don't play a ton of match days, you tend to run into a lot of scenarios where like you could get a bracket of like 4 or 5 seeds all at the same win total, and then you use some like strength of schedule bullshit to like figure it out. I think this season we've finally done away with it. We're using what round win percentage now? The tiebreaker?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Strength of schedule as well. It's like
Oh,
the
okay.
big one.
Dang it. God damn it.
yeah, I know Scarlet doesn't like that one.
I'm not a fan of strength of schedule being a tiebreaker, but
Dude, it's
Oh, as
so
a tiebreaker, no. It's a
Yeah.
good metric for like power rankings, and I think
Yeah.
that's about it.
Yeah.
yeah. Because Spence and I would always try and figure out playoff seeds, and it's like, well, it goes to strength of schedule, and then you can't predict seeds because you
Yeah.
don't know how people's SOS are going to move on the last match day. So it's just like, I don't know. All right, enough negativity. Let's talk about players to watch, so to speak. EQZ, give me someone who you're watching kind of this season to like either pop off or is like kind of like an integral part of their team.
So can I name like I'll do like 2 players just
Yeah,
because
2 is okay.
I want to glaze, but I would say the first one would be Dekel. Uh, I think
The
he
goat.
hasn't started off good enough to where I thought he was, but I think a couple of games in he'll start to pop off like how he started in Prospect last. So I mean I know it's a new tier, so obviously it's going to be more difficult for him, but um, just waiting for him to pop off, I think will help Sav a lot as well. Like just them winning games. I think Sav is a pretty slept on team. Maybe I don't know if that's a hot take, but um, I think they could be good. So Dekel is probably one of them, and then the other one, uh, even more glazed, but I think Pleasemore is like this BS team is looking pretty good to me in my opinion, and I think that's just because Pleasemore's IGLing is really good. But that's just more glaze. I don't know.
Well, this is the glaze section, EQZ, so you're allowed to do that. um, Trout, Spence, do you have either of those guys on your radar, or you got someone different?
I got different people, yeah.
I have different people as well. Although I will say I think Deckel's one of the highest Face It Elo players in Tendy right now at like mid 8. I know you have Cybo, but Cybo's boosted.
Uh-oh.
but he's solo queued his way there, but we like to give him shit for it. So I mean, I played with Dekel last night in a pug, and I mean, really good player. I agree with Ikuzia. It's a matter of time until he pops off, and whoever he pops off against, good luck.
EQ, do you know where Deco's playing? Like what kind of style he's playing? Like anchor, or is he like a pack rifler, like second, third person in? Or
I'm not 100% sure. No, I would
okay,
assume he's maybe just like a rifler, just getting in there late. But
okay, that's fair. Trout, who do you have?
So I got two. One is Wizard. Now this is mostly I think he's gonna keep balling out. I think he's gonna play pretty good. It's more so that he was the pretty sure he was the highest rated player throughout combines. At least for like a decent bit. I was looking at him and being like, oh shit, like this guy's good. I just want to kind of take a look and see if like he can continue his current like play for the rest of the season. Um, Kind of just like if he can ball out like this, I mean, BS is in a great spot. If they have some guy who's putting up like 1.3s can like average every week, I mean, like that's insane. That's like a massive boost, especially with like the solid team around him. I like it's perfect. But I just want to see if we can keep it going. I mean, it's hard. When I was in like you hit a fall off sometimes. When I was in prospect season way back in season 11, I was playing for Wet. Um, like I started the season off like steaming hot. Like I was like a 1-3, 1-2-5 every game, and then my last four match days, I think I averaged like a point 0.8. Like it's life gets in the way, or like it's just like the team started acclimating to how you play. So if he can keep this going, I mean, this is he could easily hit like an MVP. If he can keep this form. My one other player has to be Verks on Wet. Um, Not just as like a player. I pug with Verks a good bit, and I know he could like frag out. It's more just to see how he continues calling that team, kind of seeing him as an IGL, seeing like how he's moving his guys around the map and everything like that, and how he like leads the team to success. Because I think they have a lot of weapons on that team that can play really well. I love Eclipse and everything. So if they can just keep that going, if Verks can call them well, I think it could be really fun to watch. And yeah, those are my two players to look out for. See how they do.
Spence.
All right, well, I wrote down like 6.
Okay, well let's. Okay,
So I'm gonna very quickly give a shout out to Nutty on OS. Dude's rocking a 1.11 rating, but is doing the dirty work, diving in first. Bro is, in my opinion, easily the best player on our team. My ratings are all luck, no skill. So those are gonna be dropping very quickly. Dinger is paying me to mention him here. So Dinger, here is your shout out.
I
Congratulations.
did have Dinger written down. I just want to say that. Like I did have him written down. I just picked Wizard and Verks, but Dinger, like I think he's got it at him.
Lissy and Chicken Wings both have been off to an incredibly hot start and showed
Lissy.
glimpses of that in combines. But the person I wanted to talk about was Supreme. Not for any good reasons. He is a very well known backpack merchant. Lives on the back of the 4 teammates, and yeah, so it's really going to be up to Nan to really 4v5 their way through the season. So those are my players to watch. Some good, one bad. Levy Supreme.
that's fair.
Yeah, I have one more note in the same way that Spencer's dropping Supreme. Krilla has a 1.0 right now. That
That's
might
so
be the
high.
first time ever that he's had a 1.0. If he could keep it there, I'd honestly I'd be astonished.
Congratulations, old man. Have it while you can.
Yeah, if he can keep a 1.0, God, if he gets above a 0.9 this season, I think something changed in his life that is just making him a great Counter Strike player. Um,
It's all those killing catalysts in our retakes in OS. That's what it is.
I was scrolling through people just to like kind of pay attention. I don't know shit about Contender. I'll be 100% honest with you. Like I know a good amount about Elite, obviously. I know a decent amount about Chalia, and then this season I was just like eyeballing Prospect 24/7 because it was like the hardest rebuild for us at Big Slime. But I remember Shock. So Shock is former AP Shock Dizzle on Gas.
Mhm.
I always thought Shock was a really strong player. Started in Prospect, I think like season 12, season 13. Now he's in 10D. Always struck me as a really like kind of aggressive player, but as you see that chart indicate, like he's kind of mellowed out a little bit. He's taking a lot more supporters positions. Still boasting like a 60% opening duel win rate, and he's trading 40% of his deaths out, so his positioning is really strong as well. While he's still like playing aggressive, but support util has definitely been better. And then on that same team, I think it's how do you say his name? Is it Kixetic?
Exotic, yeah.
Exotic? Yeah. I mean, obviously just one game, but I mean, like Jesus, like a 1-5 straight up. I don't know how sustainable that is, but based on the his combine sample pool, it looks like unironically kind of sustainable.
Yeah, that graph is wild.
It's just crazy, right? And like you look at it, it's like 100% opening duel rate, like Jesus, like basically 100 ADR, like 85% cast, like. And if you look at the games, like the combine games he played, he was doing the exact same thing. Oh, it's a she. My fault. She was doing the exact same thing, you know. So that gas team, I think, is also is it 2-0 right now? I mean, it is 2-0,
They
but like,
are.
yeah, I didn't put them as like my undefeated team because they play a rough stretch of games. They play HG, then they play Big Slime, and then they've got a matchup with FRG, if anything, on
Yeah.
MD6. Like,
That might be one of the toughest stretch of 3 games anyone will have all season.
yeah, it's not comfortable by any means, but like that gas team is good, right? And if Exotic and then Shock can keep their form, and then yeah, I didn't even mention Lurf, who has a 117 right now, but like I don't think we gave Gask the credit they kind of deserved in that first segment, off of these two players. And then in the same vein as EQZ, I was gonna glaze Pleasemore, because he's from my franchise, but also at the same time, just he's pulling 5 flash assists per game right now, which is kind of unheard of across 2. So it's not like he just had one game where he was just like, everyone drop me a flash and then everyone throw it, kind of nonsense. Like I genuinely don't think that stat's correct. You know what I mean? Like who has 5 flash assists per game?
We get it. You want to be Fuffy.
Yeah, it's like he's doing his best Fluffy cosplay right now, bro. I mean, without
Not
the
only
whole
that,
0-2 nonsense.
he's also
E-
opping and dropping a good rating, like
Yeah, like
being a tier min, promotion tier min.
yeah. EQ, did Pleasemore op at all that season with Archer on the team or no?
Nah.
Okay.
He maybe sometimes, but it was mainly B Web as second.
Oh yeah, okay. But I mean, it's just kind of shocking. Like this guy's just kind of doing everything right now. He's calling, he's fragging, he's opping, he's supporting. Like,
Yeah.
what is he not doing at this point? So I was just kind of impressed by that. All right.
Oh wait, one more thing.
Uh-oh.
Not to toot my own horn, but watch out for me. I'm floating at a 0.8 right now.
Oh.
So,
The goat.
some adjustments get made, and a goat scoper comes out. I'll
Uh-oh.
be an all-star for sure this season. Just gotta say.
The second you have me not drive buying you with a Glock and a Mac 10, you're fine.
Yeah, if I don't have to play against Spence, I mean, life is good. I'm goaded, and many have said before. So just watch out.
I
Tend
agree.
to.
Honestly, I don't know how we didn't bring you up first, my goat.
Wait, Spence, who did you pay to have a 136?
Me,
I'm
I sold against him. He paid me
I
$20, and
I'll
I
send you
sold.
I'll send you a clip after this. My first 2 kills of the season were full sprint double headshots with a Glock.
Dude, you give,
Like,
give it to Kono. Give it to Kono if it's like a YouTuber or like a streamer.
it's a Twitch clip.
Yeah, give it to Kono. We'll watch it as we pull up the predictions in a
All
second.
right, give me 1 second to find it.
Yeah. Kono, do you want to pull up the predictions and we'll just chat about it real quick while we wait for Spence to find the bullshit?
I found it.
Okay. And then we'll go in
Yeah,
more
Spence
depth.
was on one in this game. I can't lie.
I don't know. I felt really good the last 2 games, but also like fully outside of that, like our team play has been really really good. Like I said, like Nutty, Cybo, Woots,
Dude,
all
Cyber's
3 of
good.
them are doing like a really really good job of doing the dirty work. Like I'm just following them in, and they're just giving me really good opportunities to get frags.
Dude, I love Cybo. Cybo's so proper.
He
Dude,
is.
he is.
He's so like I feel like he's shaking my hand when I pug with him.
I
Like he
love
is,
it.
and it's a good handshake too. Like,
Always.
Jinx.
It's always that crisp dap.
that's beautiful.
But yeah, while we're waiting for that, I am gonna glaze our team a little bit. Again, like we have 4 players over a 1.0 rating. Porange fucking leaving us out to dry over here on Thursday in a 4v5. But I mean, even then, like there were multiple rounds, like times where like we thought we thought we could have won that game against HG. But I'm curious to see how power rankings shape out this week with a lot of teams that we expected to be really, really good. Maybe either dropping a 1-1 or maybe even 0-2 to start. So that'd be really interesting. Are either of y'all on power rankings?
Nah.
Peek easy.
Unfortunately not.
What?
Are you on power rankings?
Not for 10D, no.
Ah,
I know Eclipse is going to, I believe, do him this season. I don't know. He isn't. I don't think he's released anything, but that's what I heard.
Spence, I feel like the vibes on your guys' team has to be like perfect.
oh, the vibes for our team is amazing. It's it's great.
Am I safe
Oh,
to
no.
include the audio here?
Probably.
Hopefully.
We don't say any slurs on stream.
Untrue.
What is that?
Yeah,
that
dude,
was
I just,
that was the
like-
first 2 kills of the season.
What? Play that. How did you even get the first? What?
I fully running double thing.
Aw.
You know, I did this to Cybo, and when Cybo messaged me and was like, "Did you pre-fire that? Like I just saw your shoulder and died," and I was like, "Nah, man. Like I was fully in pool. Like you got CS2.
Yeah,
That's
so
crazy."
our OS stream was streaming that game, and it was on your POV when you did that. So we got to watch it back and make fun of him.
That's wow.
Yeah,
Actually, I
that
can't
was the
even
luck that I had.
I can't even say anything because that's how I played back when I was playing CS2. I would my strongest pistol was always the Glock compared to like either the CT pistols. I was a Mac 10 terrorist. Both seasons. All right, Kona, you got Preds for us because this will be interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, EQZ
Ignore
did not
the-
understand the assignment.
Ignore the wrong profile pictures, by the way.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
your guys look good.
Yeah.
But I guess the gang is gonna just beat up EQZ this week because Explain.
EQZ made one really, really good prediction.
I could have
That's
sworn I
fair.
put gas, but I guess.
Yeah, that's what they all say, bro.
Oh, now you gotta just hype up HG.
Yeah.
I guess so. It's hard because they barely beat you guys with 45, but it's hard. But yeah.
I mean, they had signs of being like a really good team. I can definitely see how they beat HR match day 1, but also like it's always so weird playing in a 5v4. So
Yeah.
I can understand kind of where some of the issues came, but like I don't know. I didn't think they were as prepped for Vertigo as we kind of thought they would be.
Well, what I like about this team, just going off of like stats, their first game against HR, who drops a 1.4, then against you guys a 0.55, and they still managed to like, I guess win. So like, any player can really step up at any time and, carry them to victory. So I guess that's what would make
Carry
them
them
a all-around good team.
Yeah, Rich Money is really solid as well. I
Yeah.
can definitely see them being an all-star by the end of the season.
Yeah.
I just picked Gas because I just glazed the shit out of Exotic and Shock. I just think that core is just too reliable. Against HG, but you kind of see like what EQZ is saying. He's like the shades of it on the other side. Like, I mean, Stampy's a freak, but like Stampy's pretty good as well. And if who can find some level of consistency, I think Mikey can call this team really well. Like Doodle's a 1-1-2, Rich Money's a 1-2-2. Like, it's not a bad team. It's like it's going to be probably like, do I even dare say like a top 8? Despite their schedule, probably. But yeah, I don't know. I it was too hard for me to put down Gas.
Yeah, no, Gas.
It's gonna be a good game.
Gas is gonna be Gas HG is like a game to watch. Like that is.
Mhm.
I'm excited to see who comes on top. I really do think that Gas is gonna like not boost them exactly. I think it'll be a tight game. I think Gas will come out.
Yeah. I guess
I
my
agree.
question here is, if you look at Gas's schedule, it's pretty brutal because I mentioned it earlier. They're playing HG now, and then they're going to play Big Slime, and then they get DB, FRG, GRN, H4K, and the last four are no. I mean, it's a little easier, but it's not exactly that much easier. Spence, they play you guys on MD10. Like, out of 12 games, how many match days is this Gas roster going to win, would you say?
I mean, I think out of everyone they've probably like the most variance. I mean, I could easily see them being 10-2. I can see them being 6-6.
Yeah.
And I think wherever they end, that's one team that I don't think anyone wants to come up against in a BO3. Like especially if they lose to some of these like teams who are like the HGs, the BSs, like OS later, H4K, like all these teams are like again, they have an extremely tough schedule. If they end up 6-6, 7-5, something like that, and they're the 7 seed, that's might be the scariest team to come up against in all the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, having played against Gas, like I got no emotion against them. Like it was, they're a killer team. And like I think at lowest they're going like 8-4 is
Yeah.
my
Wow.
prediction.
Okay.
Like I don't think they even hit that. Like I know you guys said that they could be like a little volatile, but there's no way that they're going 6-6. I think 8-4 is the lowest they'll fly. I think they got it. I think
Yeah.
they'll be a nice strong playoff team.
Okay. Well, EQZ, I know you're simping for Dekel, but is that love really strong enough to put them over PA?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just think this SAF team is. I don't know. I think they can be like a big upset team in this against PA. I don't.
I picked PA purely that because of the overtimes. I'm not gonna lie. Like you got the dog in you for that. You can get to 13 free. Like
Yeah.
no matter how tough the game is.
Sav just has to avoid ancient.
Yeah.
Surely they avoid
They already
ancient,
lost.
right?
They already lost the game on ancient Sav, so
Okay.
gotta avoid that against PA, knowing their track record as well.
Yeah. Spence, what was your reasoning for it? For PA?
I agree with EQZ that I think Sav has a ton of potential, but PA are so repped right now. Like I mean they've played the most rounds out of anybody in the league. So I mean they have that 1-2-3 punch of Dingers, Skullpack, and Jace. I just think it's too much has to go like more has to go wrong for PA to lose than right for Sav to win.
Yeah. That was kind of my reasoning too, like you said. Like when you get a team with 3 riflers that just you don't even need all 3 of them to pop off at the same time, right? Like let's say Jace has a bad game, like you're confident Skull Packs and then Dinger will be able to fill that gap, or like, you know, you can sub them in and out. Um, I just think it's too hard to beat, you know. A big thing I think that like it's kind of hard to measure, but like just team consistency across the board, not like individual consistency. Um, and when 3 players are kind of quote unquote always playing well, you know, the chances of like 2 people having a shit day is really, really rare, you know. Um, I think more often than not, you're not going to have that on a team. And if you do, I would start to worry about like a systematic failure at that point, right? Like, are they being put in positions to succeed? Like, is the communication breaking down or whatever? But the fact that they were able to claw out the win against Nana and then just poo all over AVI, I don't think those deficiencies exist in PA's game right now. But Leadbone somehow made it back onto Sav, so like absolutely no one's surprised. So like if there's one roster that's gonna do it, it probably will be the Sav one.
As long as it's not on Ancient.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, like Spence, do you remember back in season 12 when you guys were playing Hell in the first round of playoffs, and it's like I think OS Chally that season was like 5-0 on Ancient,
Yeah,
and they took you to Ancient first map. You guys actually lost that map, did you not?
we did.
And then you came back and then you won 2-1 because you beat
Yeah.
them on the other 2 maps. I was like so confused because I remember specifically writing about that moment. I was like, if Hell lets OS get Ancient, it's a easy 2-0. Like there's no way it's not. And then ended up being like a 2-1.
So here's the thing about that. So I think most people who were around Chally that season knew my brother was on that hell roster. And his one goal was to beat us on Ancient. So they spent so much time prepping our Ancient. That was like fair enough, good on them. Like they absolutely won the map. Like they hit some fucking shots. But I think they had put so much of their energy into that Ancient map that they just weren't able to grind out the rest of the BO3.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. I just thought it was funny because I was like, "There's no way, and then it happened.
Yeah, I think sometimes too, if you play a map a bunch and you're feeling really strong on it, like it can be a little easy to get
Mhm.
complacent on it
Yeah,
and
that's
have like little slip ups. And I mean,
Yeah.
also if you have 5 maps, like if you have like 5 games for demo review, I like Spence said, bro, like all demo review and CSC is just like a 2D view, but like you can kind of see, you can see how they play, and like you can find little gaps that other people haven't. You could literally see what 5 other teams tried to do
Mhm.
and what
yeah.
didn't work.
And I think if you're on limited time, what I always used to do is I would just anti-strat the pistols, right?
Yeah.
So if I caught you on like a map 4 or 5 times, I would just watch all 5 pistol rounds and just see if you ever run the same thing or just like the same concept. Because if you win the pistol, the bonus conversion rate, I don't know what it is in the pro scene, but I imagine it's at least 90%. You know,
Yeah.
especially as T, you know, if you're able to win the T pistol, especially if you win the CT pistol, but the bomb goes down, I think the conversion rate's probably a lot lower. But like, regardless, if you win both pistols, you get, let's just say, 4 rounds in the bag. You only need to win 9 rifle rounds,
Mhm.
comparatively speaking, rather than saying like all 13 are up for grabs. It opens up problems, right? But again, I don't think enough people in CSE really do it to the point where you have to worry about it, so to speak.
100%.
Let's talk about the last matchup. So this was purely a glaze, but I was also just kind of curious because I saw 2 1-1 teams with 2 GMs up against each other, and it looks like everyone's going for OS. Um, Spence, where are you gonna PayPal us later, or like what? How's this arrangement gonna go?
I just think everyone picked the better team. Digital's gonna clip this and share it when he has 4 other people carry him to the win. But no, I think the most interesting thing about this matchup is me and Digital are both perennial 0.8 rated support players, and right now we're both like the opposite of that, like hard fragging at a 1.2, 1.3 level. So one of us is bound to have a shit game. Just whichever one it is gonna lose.
It could be both of you, bro. It could just be a
It
4v4.
likely will be both of us, and it's gonna be Nutty's time to actually get kills instead of being stolen by me.
Oh. Trout EQZ, we have no horses in this race. A more unbiased opinion, please, on why OS is going to win.
I think pure vibes. I mean, you look at the roster, like, well, I literally said it before. I mean, like, dude, Cybo is like the chillest person I've ever met. Spence is a cool dude. The rest of the guys seem to mesh very well together. I mean, when we played them on Inferno, I mean, like, we were getting tilted. I know for a fact that they were just giggling and goofing the entire time. Like, I also think Spence hits like an anti glaze against himself. The more that he says that he's going to perform like shit, the more he's going to pump his rating up. So just like go even further back. I mean, put Spence as my 4th player to watch. Um, I think Spence is a banger season this season. Honestly,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be great to watch these guys play. I forgot I dropped like a 10D tier list way back in contender chat. And I don't even remember where I put you guys. Um
I'll Venmo you later.
yeah, no, I forgot. I think I actually dropped you guys low, but my opinion has completely changed after I was shit asked on Inferno by you guys, and I really looked deeper into the roster. I was like, I know these guys. Like, what the hell? But I think you guys got it for sure.
Yeah, EQZ. Did you have a chance to play against Tez last season? Or no?
Tez? No. DB, right?
Yeah, DB.
Did we play DB? I don't think we played DB. No.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
Because I was gonna say, just from like a purely objective standpoint, like the other 2 games, I'm pretty convinced that Gas is gonna win. I'm pretty convinced like PA is gonna win. Like from like an unbiased standpoint, this was like the closest one out of the 3 prediction wise. Just because it's not just digital, kind of like farming his stats, but like Hog has been playing well, and like I know Tez is a strong player. Like he's a good leader as well, like both in and out of server. So like stylistically speaking, from a vibe standpoint, I feel like this DB lineup like matches up well against OS, but I kind of just like OS's experience more. I don't know how you felt about it.
I mean, just kind of what Prout said, like the vibes in this team, like you got Cybo and Porridge who played together last season, and then Spence as well doing great. Glaze him a little bit more.
I think he's had enough, bro. I think we've had enough.
I agree.
Nah,
I
keep
don't
going.
know.
I think any more in the
I don't know
health
how to deal with
inspectors
this.
that come down and like shut us out.
No, but I honestly I think this OS team like watch out for them. Like I really think they're gonna be really good this year.
I'm
I'm
not
just a
gonna lie,
big
Spence.
fan.
Oh, sorry. I'll let you finish.
No, I was gonna say I am also just a big fan of Cybo. Like he's
Yeah.
just so mechanically sound as well in the game. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
I
sorry.
didn't realize you guys played the HG game 4v5. The fact that
Mhm.
Stampy let 9 through is actually embarrassing, and I'm gonna bring it up to him later.
Yeah, honestly, like again, like they were not the most coordinated. Like there were definitely a bunch of times where we were able to like slip some gaps. Which I like again knowing some of their team, like that definitely will not be the case come Tuesday. But I mean, we just had 4 really good individual performances. Like all 4 of our players out damaged their entire team minus their top frag.
Mhm.
So I mean, again, it was one of those days where like I mean everyone was on their game. We just again didn't have a Porridge to Porridge swing, Porridge kill a couple more.
Happens.
Yeah, I just want to say, looking back at this tier list that I made, Spence remembers this bad boy in Tendy chat.
Can you reply to it? I want to see this.
Oh yeah, I got you. I'll drop it. I'm just gonna send it over to Kono really quick.
Oh, no, perfect.
If you want to take a look at this, because all of these are horribly wrong.
We're just gonna make fun of your
yeah, no,
preseason
please.
tier list.
I have to formally apologize for.
When was this? Was this after preseason 3 or?
This was before preseason ended. They still had 6-man rosters on this for the most part. Most teams did, but I had you guys as teams to beat, so that was accurate. But like looking back, how much I've been glazing gas. I had them in relegation. Like they're sent to prospect. You know, and like even PA just no playoffs, and I think that they're gonna make a solid playoff run.
So I will say PA made a lot of changes after
they
you
did
put this out. So,
but yeah, no, this beautiful
Yeah.
this tier list. My more accurate tier list is based on logos. But
oh yeah,
this is just a rough watch. Honestly, it's like looking at a car crash right here.
Yeah.
Oh, that no playoffs tier is. Oh, the relegation tier is even worse.
The relegation tier is absolutely abysmal.
FRG and Gas.
Ooh, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
It's okay. At least you own up to your mistakes.
Oh yeah, no, like HG and no playoffs. I genuinely think my HG no playoffs was based purely off their logo. I think that was just hate. I think that was hate.
Did
I post mine?
It is pretty bad, the HG logo. I don't know what Nate cooked this season, but I don't want a plate of it.
No, it's my logo tier list. They are soundly at, I believe, just about the worst. You know, there's some good logos. HG is not
has
one
to be one.
Don't worry, I put AVI in my S tier.
For logos?
No, for Tendy.
Oh, for that? I just sent you my logo one, so what derailing Tendy talk. Or not Tendy, the weekly drop. One sec. But
The rethink of BS logo is crazy.
I'll take cool.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I like it.
How is the new Sav logo in Jover?
I just don't like it. I don't know.
Sav up.
I think low key. No, I think Sav was supposed to be a logo for me. That AVI logo, like, okay, it's nice. Like, it's not bad, but like, it could be so much cooler.
See, here's my, and it might be hating on Nan just because I hate Nan.
It's an N. No, it's an N.
An N.
And Nan was literally my first logo because I was like, yep, It is.
It is a logo.
It is. The rest of my actual only issue with the big slime one is that it's a square. It's the same reason that the AG logo is honestly in there. If BS was just the little thing, in this image, it would actually be peak because it's a cool little slime guy.
Yeah, I don't know
Um,
if I respect that at all, but I mean,
No, that's fair. That's completely understandable. I mean, you would.
It's your
Um,
opinion, Starly. It's wrong, but it's still your opinion.
yeah. Thanks, Mr. First Round Pick.
Appreciate it.
But yeah, no. My prediction tier list terrible. My logo tier list, I'll defend this till the day I die.
That's fair.
That's all. How
Crowd,
was
I'm
yours,
sending
Spence?
you what mine was. I'm DMing it to you right now.
Were you accurate?
I had gas in C tier, FRG in B tier. It's not terrible.
It's better than
not
mine.
great.
It is a lot better than mine. I can't lie. It is.
I don't know. I just kind of threw everybody in the middle.
It was honestly impossible to rank without seeing like a map. I mean, if I did it now, it'd be
True.
probably flip flops. To be honest.
Put us on power. Who's power rankings head?
Isn't it Rubai still?
Is it? Put us on power rankings.
Yeah, get me in.
Can I even be on there as a GM?
Yeah, I think you can. I asked.
Oh, all right.
Oh, not as a GM?
Unless they changed it from last season. No.
Because now they let AGMs on. Because I know, I think
This is
Grigorovich is doing
GMist.
it for Chally, for Nan.
I know.
Don't worry,
B-Word is
Spence.
on
I'll
top
just send in mail-in votes for your.
I was like, they definitely could have changed it, but last season I got removed from it because I was a GM.
I also got removed from it last season.
It's tough.
Wow. All the more reason for me to yell at Rubai later.
But I will stand true. The ABW logo is the best.
What is ABW even referring to? Like, what's the theme behind it?
I have no Dark Souls, right?
Oh, it's Dark Souls. Okay, that's why I was so confused about it.
It's kind of just fucking awesome. Like I would have a hat with that on it easily. The UPS logo is just nice because like it's nice, and Frog is cool because Frog.
I definitely
Yeah,
should have worn my OS jersey. I forgot I had that thing.
I think for sure. I think if Frog's not a top 3 logo for you.
See, I think the only reason I put OS in cool and not peak is because the worst season of my CSC career was on OS. So I have like some latent like PTSD with the logo, you know.
Yeah,
Whatever it takes.
I think if anyone doesn't have FRG in their top 3, I think they probably should get like LASIK or something.
Yeah, they're bugging. It's beautiful.
That's a good logo.
Hot take: UPS overrated.
For logo?
Yep.
Yeah, it is a hot take.
I think that's pretty hot, yeah.
Yeah.
The animation T Noodle has in his like Discord banner thing makes it a lot more sick than the standalone logo is. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's like kind of an animation of like the UPS logo being like put together.
Mm.
I have my own thoughts on what it should be. Starly, I just gave it to you.
Dude, say what you want, but I think this league will burn down if Kigu wins Prem. I'm genuinely worried. Like,
God,
we
his
tried-
ego might just delete the
explode.
Discord.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think this was a very good episode of Weekly Drop.
Probably the best ever.
I think so. I don't think it'll get better than this.
No.
I can't wait to come back and when Digital and Tez spank the shit out of you, Spence, and all 4 of us are Ron on MD4.
I just can't be wrong.
Good chance.
So
Yeah. I mean, let the record show. I tried to glaze DB at the end of it, but I mean, I still picked OS, so I'm just as bad as
As long as I outfrag Digital, it is what it is.
don't worry, Digital falls off 1 week before you, Spence.
It has to be now, then, please.
No, it will be. Yeah, you fall off. You fall off next week.
I'll take
That's
it.
okay.
2 match days is already better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh my god. Who do
You get a
even
good
play
4, and it will keep you just above a 1-0 for the rest of the season.
That's how Chally was last season. I had like a 1.5 to start and ended with like a 0.96 or something.
It's perfect.
All right.
The joy of averages.
Well, thanks guys for being on. I will leave it at that. I need to see Alabama blow Georgia out more.
Oh wait, what's the score of that now? I was
33-15.
Oh, Georgia scored again.
Yeah. I mean,
But
Custody
UCF already
down
lost, so
to
I'm gonna go cry
30.
later.
yeah, well. Thanks, guys, for coming on. We will be back next week. Hey, no, Kono, don't cut yet, because I need to figure out what tiers I'm doing next week. I already forgot. What am I doing next week?
The other two, right?
No. Well, there's
Oh, this
six.
is the first.
This is the
Yep.
first. Yeah, there's 6. What?
Thought you did one last week. I was
No,
wrong.
last week I just got the admins on. What was it? What did I say? Oh god, I'm doing recruit and prospect. God help me. All right.
Have fun.
Um,
None of
I
the
don't think
predictions
I'll
will
make it.
stick.
I don't think I'll make it out of that episode alive. So tune in next week when I get dragged into hell. All right, bye guys. Everyone wave bye.